So here we are mentioning the initialization part and also the incrementing part, not inside the condition bracket for the for loop. We are just giving the semicolons inside the bracket or the condition bracket, but we are not giving the initialization part and also the incrementing part inside the for loop condition. So, but you have to make sure that you put the semicolon, which will be separating the three expressions. Got it? So here in each iteration, instead of m plus plus means what? We will be incrementing only by 1. But if we are giving m equal to m plus 5, we will be incrementing the m value by 5. And yesterday I told what will be the values of the m printed in the first iteration. In the first iteration of the for loop, it will be printing 5. And then m value will be incremented by 5. In the next for loop, it will be printing 10. Then it will be 15. Likewise, it will go only up to which value? What will be the last value? What will be the last value printed for m? Tell me.
95, ma'am.
95. You remember?
95.
Okay. So these tricky questions will be asked. So that's why I just repeated this. No. And now using for loop, we have to print triangles. Triangles of stars. Those boys will be very much interested. No, printing of stars, pyramid. No, Floyd's pyramid. Those things. You know, Pascal's triangle. Those things and all will be interesting for the boys. And it will be asked also. In order to test your skill in see how to use the for loop and all. So we are just seeing, and I told these two cases are also not caught by the compiler as an error. Got it? You can mention the semicolon, but this will be delaying this line will be executed how many times by the compiler? Compiler will be executing 1,000 times, right? In order to if you have any background disturbance, please mute from your side. I don't know from where it is coming. Shall I mute all? Okay, so here you will be putting a semicolon as the body of the loop. Body of the loop is itself a semicolon, right? Now, when we are putting a semicolon down, that means an immediate line just before the for loop will be taken as the body of the loop. I already taught you in the last class that we need not always delimit with a curly bracket. If you have only one line to execute, if the condition is satisfied, then we need not delimit it by a curly bracket. Right? Got it? So here you don't have any lines to execute. Only one semicolon is there. That is considered as the body of the loop. So this body of the loop, which is a semicolon, will be it will be just like a jumping from here to here 1,000 times. This will cause a small delay in the execution of the program. But merely this delay will be felt in our new processes. But still, I'm telling this was used for causing a delay in the execution of the program. And after that, we have one more thing in which we are mentioning the semicolon just after the bracket. So here also for the for loop, what is the error in this line? You know that here the semicolon, no, it's not to be kept in at the end of the for loop, and it will not be caught as an error by the compiler. That is a problem. If you put a semicolon at the end of any of the looping statements, it will not be caught as an error. But only thing is, we will not be getting the expected output. If you have given the body of the loop, here if I am giving a printf statement, what will happen? When compiler encounters semicolon, it will be stopping here and it will be executing this, and it will not execute this printf statement. Got it? So you will be thinking that, ma'am, there is no error, there is no compilation error, but it is not getting it is not showing the output. So this may be the problem. Never put a semicolon at the end of the for loop. That we have already completed, and I had started with this also. If we have two variables, and here this is an example in which the control variable is, which is the control variable here? Which is the control variable? Anyone?
N, ma'am.
N is the control variable. Got it? I'm just using a P variable. In this example, the previous example, I had used both N and P. In this example, there is only one control variable, that is N. I'm initializing then and then checking the condition and then incrementing, but I'm just writing, instead of outside the for loop, I'm just mentioning the p variable inside the for loop condition. The next one is here we have a long compound expression. So here it should be a Boolean expression. It should be a Boolean expression. What is a Boolean expression? An expression which will either return a false or a true is known as a Boolean expression. But Boolean expression itself, you can give it as a compound or a complex expression consisting of two relational operators, right? So here we have one condition, I should be less than 20 and sum should be less than 100, right? Here the control variable is I itself, but I am checking the testing with the combination of two things, that is I should be less than 20 as well as sum should be less than 100. If any one of these cases turn out to be false, then the condition or the testing condition, it will be returning false. Got it? So here this is the testing condition, and the last one is the incrementation of the I variable, which is the control variable. I is the control variable. Don't make mistake here. Sum is not the control variable. I itself is the control variable. And then here also one more thing we have to see, that sum is also incremented. So here one more thing I made a mistake is, like both sum and I is the control variable. Sorry, both sum and I is a control variable. Sum is initialized outside, sum is incremented inside. And the condition is checked with the two variables I and sum. Just like our P and N in the previous example, here this condition is tested with the two variables I and sum. Listen here. Here there are also two variables, control variables. Which are the two control variables? I and sum. Sum is initialized to 0, I is initialized to 1. And the testing condition is I should be less than 20 and sum should be less than 100. And where is I incremented? I is incremented inside the condition or inside the bracket, while sum is incremented within the body of the loop. I told no, we need not always mention the incrementation of the control variables inside the for loop. Here also inside the condition bracket, here you can mention within the body of the loop, right? So each time when I is incremented, sum is incremented by sum plus I. Got it? So here this is a compound expression which we may not use, but don't tell that this is a error. So this is also possible. So this is an additional feature of the for loop. Apart from the usual syntax, for loop can be used in order to express the conditions, whatever three things which we are passing in the for loop in the form of a compound expression. So here this is an example of a compound expression, and here it is an example of a for loop which is consisting of two control variables. Got it? So this is one more example, and these examples I have already kept it there in the first slide. That means here also we have a expression which is used for initialization of the x variable, and then we are incrementing or decrementing the x variable also using an expression. Another unique feature of the for loop is, like as I told in the first slide, I'm just keeping one line because sometimes they used to ask this question, additional features for the for loop. So you can number it and write what are the additional features. Here I have given that initialization and the increment section can be omitted. That means we are not mentioning within the bracket. Got it? Here and here no, we are not mentioning, but semicolon is compulsory, that is mandatory. So the semicolon which separate the initialization part and the updation or the increment or decrement section should be there. Got it? So here I have mentioned the initialization before the for loop, and incrementing of the control variable is given within the body of the loop. And the last one here I have given is if the test condition, one second. Here if the test is a condition is not present, then the for statement it will be becoming an infinite loop. Suppose what is the only thing which I have mentioned within the condition bracket? I have mentioned only the the testing expression. What is the main thing of a for loop? In order to stop a for loop, we should be always testing a condition, right? So the main heart of our for loop, which make the pumping work or the looping work, is our testing expression, right? So here, if you are not mentioning the testing expression, this will end up in a infinite loop. Are you getting? It will end up in a infinite loop. Such loops can be broken. So if you are not mentioning our testing expression, I told you need not mention your initialization expression and you need not mention your incrementing expression. But if you are not mentioning your testing expression, this is our main thing, right? In order to stop the for loop. So if you are not mentioning your testing expression, then it will be ending in an infinite loop. It will be ending in an infinite loop. So in order to stop this, if you are not giving any break statement or go to statement, you have to click on Control Alt Delete and all, right? In order to stop the turbo C, it will end up in a infinite loop. We are not mentioning until m not equal to 100. That condition, if we are not mentioning, then this program will be keeping on printing. And because we are not telling it should not be, it should be stopped at a particular condition. So it will be keeping on printing 5, 10, 15, 20, 100, 105, like that, up to lakhs. It will be just printing as an infinite loop, right? It will not be stopping. So in order to stop, we may have to apply a either we have to give a break statement or we have to use a go to. So go to we have studied, break will be studying in this chapter itself. So this has to be applied. Another additional feature which I had explained in the first slide is putting of the semicolon, in which a semicolon here both are having same effect. If you are syntactically, when we tell about the SE program, we will tell where after the for loop, whatever we mention, the next immediate line will be considered as a body of the loop. But at the end of a for loop statement, if you mention a semicolon, it will not be an error, but it will be giving you an unexpected result because we might have given it unknowingly. So the printf statement we might have given immediately after this for loop. So this we are sometimes use in order to delay the execution of a C program 1,000 times. Here if you are giving 5,000, it will delay by 5,000. Got it? Some small delay because for loop will be keeping on iterating this 1,000 or 500 times. Got it? So here after that we have I told before, at the end of the for statement, if you are giving, then it will be giving an unexpected result, because this may be without knowledge, we will be just putting a semicolon. Just like if you put a semicolon at the end of void main, I told you at the end of a while statement, we should not be giving a semicolon, but the end of a do while we have to give a semicolon. So you should be checking for the errors first. You should learn the technique of solving errors quickly. That skill you should be having, rather than just checking, ma'am, I'm not getting. When you are, I'm ready to help and I'm telling, I like debugging. But if you are, see what is the actual issue, then why only that statement is not printed. So you see through the statements, why I gave a printf after the for loop, but it is not getting printed, but no errors, then it may be the semicolon, right? So you have to check whether semicolon is given. Now, one more additional feature is like, as I told, if you are not mentioning, listen here, if you don't mention the condition expression, now you see for loop is just in the condition bracket we have only 2 semicolon, that's it. We have only 2 semicolon. What will happen if I execute this program? All of you type in the chat box. Let me see what you are listening. What will happen if I am printing this program? If you are running this program, whether I will be getting any error it will be showing, or whether it will be executing. What will happen? Type in the chat box. Are you all there?
Yes, ma'am.
Error, somebody is messaging. What will happen if I am compiling this program and running it? Anina has message execute. What will be executed? I want to know.
The loop will not be executed.
The loop here, the statement is given as a body of the loop is this loop will run forever. With whether this line will be printed or not, that's only I need to know. Error will be there, or whether it will be printing this line, or how many times it will be running, it will be printing. All are messaging, seeing that everyone is messaging error, it will be error. What type of error I want to know? This will run, this will run, and it will be running forever. That is, it becomes an infinite loop. But it will be, we didn't mention the testing condition over here. Just now I told in the previous slide, right? If you didn't mention the testing expression, where we will be mentioning in between these two like semicolon. First part we will be giving initialization. Second, you will be giving the testing. The third part you will be giving the increment or decrement of the control variable, right? So if you are not mentioning all the three, just putting one two semicolon which separates, I don't know, if you are not putting semicolon it will show error. But if you are not mentioning the initialization, testing, and also the third part is increment or decrement, you should be this question for sure. I'm telling you, this will be there for debugging. Almost all debugging questions, it will be there. Understood? So listen carefully. This will not create any error, but it will be printing this loop will run forever. No, that becomes an infinite loop. Got it? So if you want something to be printed infinite number of times, then you can just give a for loop with two semicolon in the bracket. Understood? So this will be ending in an infinite loop. Infinite means there is no finite end, right? We will be, you can see the screen moving very fast with this statement being printed. This loop will run forever. How many times we don't know? It will be just scrolling up without any stop. Then we have to give Ctrl-Alt-Delete in order to stop the turbo C, end the process, and then we have to continue. Understood? This will be asked for most of the test, like debugging questions. It will not create an error, but it itself it's an it's not under control. It will become an infinite loop. The best answer is infinite loop. It will not be caught as an error by the compiler. Got it? Even if you didn't mention the initialization or testing or the incrementing conditions or expressions, it will not be creating an error. But if you didn't mention the semicolon in this bracket, then it will be an error. Got it? So it will be just acting as an infinite loop. Got it? So now this is a program for making a pyramid. I'll show you how it will be printed when we run the program. I thought of making it as an animation. So I'll just show you now how it is running. We want a pyramid to be printed in this way. Suppose I want a pyramid of stars. Listen here, a half pyramid of stars. Pyramid shape, it will be in this way, right? Pyramid will be of this way, but I need a half pyramid. What is half pyramid? Just exactly a half of this pyramid. So I need a half pyramid. I need a half pyramid, and this pyramid should be having only one star at the in the first row, and then I should have two stars in the second row, and I should be having three stars in the third row. So if I need 5 rows, if I'm entering 5 rows, I should be having 4 stars again in the fourth row and 5 stars in the, all are listening. This also will be asked. This is like all other IT first when it is happening in other colleges, they'll be asking this question. Boys will be especially interested in this. So in the last row, it will be like 5 stars in the last row. Are you all getting? So, so whenever, are you able to listen? Okay. So whenever we enter 5 rows, number of rows we are entering as 5, you should be getting 5 rows. in the first row should be single star, in the second 2, third 3, fourth and 4 stars, and in the fifth it should be 5 stars. If it is 6, if you are entering the number, whenever we are entering 6, you should be having 6 rows of star. I'll show you running. You are able to hear, right? So this is our problem. So we need to, our aim is in order to get a half pyramid of stars. Are you all getting? We should get a half pyramid of stars. Using for loop, we are going to execute this program, right? So when we want to get a half pyramid of stars, our condition is in the first row, there should be only single star. And in the second row, we should be having 2. So we, one more thing I might have completed. Okay. So we are making use of a condition that when we enter the number of rows, when we enter the number of rows, we are having some for loop to be executed. Suppose I enter only 5 rows as 5, I should be running a loop which will be running, how many times? It should be running 5 times. That is our testing condition. So we will be making use of a variable and we will be checking from the first row to the number of rows. So the first row we can use it as 1, and for the second and third, and at the end, for the fifth row, if you are entering 5 in the number of rows, the variable row will be having the value as 5. So we can use, or we can check the variable I whether it has reached the number of rows. We cannot directly enter 5 because we are writing a program which should be running for all the inputs, right? Even if you enter 5, it should be printing a triangle or pyramid of 5 rows. Even if I enter 10, it should be printing a triangle or half pyramid of 10 rows. Are you getting? So here we should be writing a program by using a variable. Got it? Variable should be accepting the value from the user for how many rows it has to print the triangle or half pyramid. Got it? So here we are making use of 2 for loops. Here we are making use of 2 for loops, and we will be printing the stars. So before, I think I misplaced the slides. Actually, I wanted to take one more thing, that is nested for loop. All are listening here? Is there any disturbance? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
yes, ma'am.
Okay. So here, there is some, I feel like some internet connection instability is doing that, so I'm asking. So here we are using 2 for loops. I thought of giving a simple program at the beginning. Okay, so here we are using 2 for loops. As I had told in the beginning, whatever we mention, so whatever we mention as the body of the loop will be executed that many number of times as the condition is satisfied. So we are giving the testing condition also, right? So in this for loop, we will be executing the body of the loop, which is our body of the loop. Which is our body of the loop. 1 second. So here is our body of the loop. So for this for loop, earlier, like you are able to see, right? I'll make it maximized. So for this for loop, I am having the body of the loop within this bracket. For the first for loop, I have the body of the loop, which is body of the loop for the first for loop, with the whatever lines I have mentioned within the curly bracket will be taken as the body of the loop. So what are the lines which are there in the body of the loop for the first for loop?